Let's go back in time. Come with me to the time of our ancestors. Our early ancestors were probably much shorter than we are, and they didn't stand up straight. They probably made many noises, much like we do today to communicate, but their noises were not languages like we now know. Our earliest ancestors lived in the land that today we call Africa. About 3 million years ago or more, the early ancestors that we now call Australopithecus lived. There were even earlier ones, but we are going to be talking about Australopithecus. What was so unique about Australopithecus? Austra means southern, so they lived in a southern region. And what was most important about this ancestor was that they could stand up. This ancestor standing up could do something very special. Their hands were free. This is an important thing. We are going to learn now that human beings are notable and different from all other kinds of living things because of 3 great gifts that we have received. These 3 gifts will define all of our ancestors that come after. The 3 gifts have to do with the hands, the heart, and the head. These 3 things set human beings apart, and they have something to do with our hands, something to do with our hearts, and something to do with our heads. The time that we are talking about now is called the Stone Age. This is because the tools that these very early people created were made of stone. Living in the Stone Age was dangerous. Early people did not have sharp fangs or claws for fighting. They were also not the fastest animals, so they used their hands to make very sharp tools. They also used their heads, and they grew smarter than the other animals. Now let's talk about someone specific. Let's talk about Homo habilis. We know that Homo habilis made tools, and in making the tools, this early person used of those 3 gifts, their hands. Because of this, these early people were named Homo habilis, which means handy human. We know that Homo habilis, all the way back at this time, was a tool maker. Tools can be used for what is in the next picture, cutting up pieces of meat. The Homo habilis humans did not cook their meat. Most likely, they scavenged carcasses left over from other predators and ate their meat raw. They also would get very valuable marrow from bones. The marrow was rich in nutrients and helped them to survive. Now, another human being comes along about 1,700,000 years ago. This human is Homo erectus. Homo means of the hominid or human family, and erectus means upright, so these humans walked upright, using their hands and their head or their brains for making tools. Their tool-making skills were much more advanced than those of Homo habilis. They even made weapons, like knives and stone axes. Instead of just scavenging, Homo erectus most likely were hunters. These humans moved out of Africa to faraway places, and they lived along with Homo habilis for a time, but they were far more advanced. They were advanced not only in their tool-making skills or in their hunting skills, but they were also able to tame a very important element. That element is fire. Fire was a very important tool for protection. It can be a frightening thing, but the use of it meant that the people could cook their food, and this automatically allowed them to live longer. Cooked food is softer and is more suitable for older humans, and also for very young humans who might not have been able to survive otherwise. Cooking also increased Homo erectus' chances of survival, in that cooking kills harmful parasites that are often found in uncooked foods. So what else do you think they ate? Homo erectus probably still scavenged for scraps in the marrow and bones, but they also ate roots, plant stems, leaves, fruit, nuts, insects, grubs, honey, and birds' eggs. Sounds delicious. Somewhere around 300,000 years ago, there was a new people, and they were called Homo neanderthalensis, or Neanderthals. They're called Neanderthal because their bones were first discovered in the valley of the Neander River in Germany, although they too also originally came from Africa. Neander is the river, and Tal means valley. Here's a picture showing a grouping of a family of the Neanderthals. It shows people doing different things. And when I told you that we have 3 great gifts, one of the gifts I mentioned had to do with the heart, and that is love. When we see a human holding a child, and when we see them working together, these are our first examples of love on the timeline of humans. Human beings have a different kind of love than other animals. We can love someone we may never even see. We may help others that we never hardly know, just because they're humans. This love has an origin, and the origin is in the depths of time. Way back when at some point in the past, people began to care for one another in a way that went beyond what other animals do. Our capability for love is our second great gift. You and I and any other humans can show our love for others. The capacity for a uniquely human kind of love was one of the most special things about Neanderthals. They also had several other interesting and unique characteristics. Most likely, they had some kind of language ability. And what kinds of foods did they eat? As they were very skilled hunters, Neanderthals mostly ate meat. They may have also added some plant foods. They were skilled hunters because they used stone-tipped spears. Their favorite meats include mammoth, deer, and even horse. The Neanderthals were also talented fire makers, and they usually cooked their food. Neanderthals often used caves as their homes. They may have also built temporary shelters from animal bones or tusks, or used tree branches covered with animal skins. Neanderthals also buried their dead with ceremony. In this picture, we can see a burial ceremony in progress. They are decorating the deceased with flowers and possibly pollen, as well as a weapon. And now we move on to Homo sapiens, or early modern humans. Homo sapiens appeared 150,000 years ago in Africa. They seem to have moved beyond Africa by about 100,000 years ago. And why do you think they migrated? The appearance of Homo sapiens may have marked the end for the Neanderthal people, who were not able to successfully compete with the more advanced early modern humans. These Homo sapiens are people that are very much like us. After all, that is what we are called too. We are also called Homo sapiens. Homo sapiens used the bow and arrow, which we still use today, and they also made sophisticated shelters. Early modern humans also developed exquisite art. They made magnificent sculptures and amazing paintings on the walls of the caves. They even developed lamps that burned animal tallow. They were much like us. And let's talk now about our third gift, the head. Human intelligence is really something special. Humans have what is called a reasoning or a logical mind. We have the ability to think things through. We have a mind that doesn't just react to things, but a mind that can actually work things out and solve problems. This is a great gift. Homo sapiens did make stone tools, but that's not all. They also used other materials like bone to make fish hooks and sewing needles. They made warm boots from leather or bark and lined them with fur and grasses. The early modern humans used their minds to develop a natural resource, clay, and they created it into an indispensable part of life, pottery. Homo sapiens began working with clay as long as 35,000 years ago. With pottery, you can cook things in a pot. You can carry things from one place to another in a pot. These are important skills that contribute to the success of our species. Homo sapiens was also the first hominid to begin planting things. Growing food is called agriculture. They also domesticated or kept animals. These are two very important contributions to the survival of our species. Agriculture, or growing food, was important because with its introduction, humans could stay in one place rather than following herds. Now, humans did not need to constantly be on the move in search of food. These three inventions are huge works of the mind: making pottery, domesticating animals, and becoming farmers. Three inventions, just like the three gifts with which humans are endowed: the hand, the head, and the heart. The gift of the hand. The use of our thumb and fingers makes it possible for us to be tool users. The gift of the head, our mind, allows us to reason, think, solve problems, and imagine. The gift of the heart, love, makes all of the other gifts worthwhile. Love is transcendent in its own way because it makes us care deeply. And that is why we are together today, because we love and care for one another. Think again about all of our ancient ancestors, all who came from Africa, and all who left us such wonderful gifts. I hope we are grateful for them. This is the story of humans. It is our story. Think about where you are in this story. Think about where this story is in you. Everyone on the timeline of humans is one of our cousins or ancestors. This means that we are all connected to each other. This story is your own story, and it's a continuing, ongoing story. Yes, you are in this story too, every one of you. Soon we will see what the next chapter is in our story. I can't wait to continue on this journey as we go along the journey together.